Hey everyone, welcome back to the Visually Stunning Movie Podcast. I am Mark. Thank you for listening. I've got a documentary to talk about, and it's called Flee. Now you may recognize that name because it is up for an Academy Award this year in 3 categories, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But it's amazing. It's an amazing film. It is the true story. Obviously, it's a documentary of a man named Amin, who is about to get married to his partner. But to do so, he has to get over certain psychological humps. And he has to talk about his past for the first time. Now, his past is what the film is about. He's a refugee from Afghanistan. Let's back up. Documentaries, it seems, on this podcast are becoming something of a fixture in our repertoire of late, and this one is really, actually, it is kind of special. It's told in this hybrid style of archival footage of Afghanistan and other places in the Middle East and in the European countries where it winds up, Denmark, etc. And animation, and this is like a raw nerve recounting of Amin and his family, his entire family, as their life in Afghanistan barely survives, or not, through the fall of democracy, the invasion by Russia, the civil war that the United States had a hand in fomenting during that time, and the withdrawal of Russia and the rise of the Taliban. Now, the animation, of course, helps provide a sense of anonymity to Amin, who's being interviewed by one of his university friends who's making this documentary with him. And the reason he needs some anonymity, or a sense of anonymity, I guess, one is that it's easier to animate what he's talking about and not necessarily shoot him in the face with the camera. But his asylum application, his claim after he got out of Afghanistan and through Europe, is based on a lie. And that lie is that his entire family was dead and he was the last survivor. Now, there are stylistic differences of the animation throughout the film. And those segments, if you're watching and paying attention, they reflect the varying states of his mind. And even his very existence. And they range from kind of a status quo existence where it's a very clean and conventional style of animation. And then there are parts of his life and his journey that are almost manic. And so the animation kind of matches that. It becomes very sketchy and unfinished, lacking in detail. It's almost, in a lot of places, it's kind of surreal to look at. So, I mean, they're very evocative styles of animation that are used throughout this film. But ultimately, that stylistic trickery has to take a backseat to the very real story of Amin and his family. And by extension, countless millions of other people around the world, as they find themselves trapped outside the known, the safe. And the reality of the various methods that they employ to try to find some semblance of safety and to ultimately reunite with their scattered family members. Because very rarely does a family unit stay together during a refugee action like this. And it doesn't always work to find everyone. So after they flee Afghanistan for Russia, as Russia is leaving and the Taliban is marching, Amin's sisters are smuggled out via trafficker to Sweden, where their older brother is already waiting for them. Now his 2 sisters are moved in a shipping container on a cargo ship for weeks. And even though they physically survive this journey, they go through hell, and it takes a long time to recover from that. Amin, his remaining brother, and his mother all try to move themselves out of Russia, where they are continually harassed by the corrupt police forces, because the tourist visas that they used to get from Afghanistan to Russia back in the day have long expired. And so they can't really complain or do anything because they can be arrested, they can be deported, they can be killed because they don't really exist as people in Russia at this point. And so they try to get themselves out, and they find themselves on a forced march through winter forests to finally get on a smuggling boat. And a smuggling boat, they just completely gut the inside of the hull so they can pack as many people below and close the lid so that they're not seen as they can. Now they experience an engine failure. The ship takes on water and they nearly sink. And they believe they're going to be rescued by a cruise ship. But the cruise ship, rather than helping these refugees, calls the Russian police, the Estonian police, which is really just a Russian satellite. And they're taken back to this abandoned building, apartment type building, which is effectively a prison. And they're kept there for months and months and months. Eventually, Amin is smuggled out alone. And he makes his way to Copenhagen, where over time he's able to contact and reconnect with his brother and sisters in Sweden. Now, Amin builds a life for himself. He has a respected professional career, but he's still afraid of his past. And he can't really move forward with his personal life with his partner, Casper, even though he wants to, because Casper wants a marriage and a home and a place. And home, the film starts, is a place Amin clearly has long been without. Or at least he hasn't had a place without the looming fear of losing it, both physically and emotionally, because he spent his entire life hiding, not only from the authorities in this country or that country, but another secret from his family, from those he loves, and that he is gay, which for a Muslim, that's huge. And so by the end of the film, we're going to learn whether or not that secret will cost that aspect of the home that he has been fighting his entire life to find. It is an incredible true story. And there's a lot in here to consider and to learn from, not just from Amin's standpoint, but from the standpoint of refugees everywhere throughout the world. Now, I did say earlier that this film has been nominated for 3 Academy Awards: Best Animated Feature, Best Documentary Feature, and Best International Feature Film. It's the first film to be simultaneously nominated for all of those. So that should give you an idea. No matter what you think of awards, that's pretty amazing. And it is a great film, and it's worthy of being nominated for all 3 of them, and it's worthy to win any and or all of them. So it is currently streaming on Hulu, and you can watch Flea with either subtitles, or you can watch it with an English dub. I watched the subtitles, full disclosure, and if you've ever watched movies more than once that way, you know that sometimes the dub does not match the subtitles. Most of the time they're pretty close, but I watched the subtitles. So that is Flea, 3-time Academy Award nominee for this year, now streaming on Hulu. I highly recommend that you check it out. If you like what you see and hear here, don't forget to like us, follow us, share us on social media at VS Movie Podcast. That's on Facebook and Twitter. If you're on YouTube, just search for Visually Stunning Movie Podcast. Click subscribe. That would help us out as well. We're on Instagram, also Visually Stunning Movie Podcast. And let us know what you think. And we will be back soon with more and more films, because they're out there for us to watch, and we're happy about it. So till we are, stay safe, take it easy, be good, and we'll talk to everyone later. Bye-bye.